Good morning. I hope everybody had a nice weekend. We have a lot going on this week in college algebra. You have 5 different assignments. They're listed in the announcements. I did want to kind of touch base on some concepts that I think may be a little difficult. So there's some that are called quadratic types. So most of you are used to factoring. So when you factor, you would have something that said x squared plus 6x plus 8. And we'd say, okay, how do we factor that? Well, we would find two numbers that multiply to 8 and add to 6. So we would say x plus 4 and x plus 2. Now, if we were solving, say this is set equal to 0, then we set each piece equal to 0 and solve. So then we are finding the values that would make that equation equal to 0. So we would get x equals -4 and x equals a -2. Now, when we're talking quadratic types, it looks similar, but it's not necessarily a quadratic equation. So for instance, you could have x plus 6x to the 1/2 plus 8 equals 0. Okay. Let's actually change this a little bit. Let's make this a negative. Okay. Now, the way you factor this is the same as the way you factored a quadratic. What you have to look at is that the exponent here is a 1, and this is a 1/2. So the 1 is double the 1/2. Just like on your quadratic, the 2 is double of the 1. So when you factor this, you're going to factor it the same way. We have a minus here now. So we would say x, instead of just x, it's going to be x to the 1/2 minus 2, and x to the 1/2 minus 4 equals 0. Then again, we still have to solve it. So we're going to say x to the 1/2 minus 2 equals 0, and x to the 1/2 minus 4 equals 0. We solve it, so x to the 1/2 equals 2, and x to the 1/2 equals 4. To solve this, when we have a 1/2 power, it's like a square root. So to get rid of that, we're going to square both sides. And so we would get x equals 4 and x equals 16. Okay. One that I think might be a little more challenging is that they have one that says x to the 6 plus 7x to the 3rd minus 8 equals 0. Again, still quadratic type. The 6 is double of the 3. So when we factor this, we're going to have x to the 3rd in both of our parentheses. We need two numbers that multiply to a -8 but add to a 7. So we're going to have plus 8 and a minus 1. Now set each piece equal to 0. So x cubed plus 8 equals 0, and x cubed minus 1 equals 0. So we would have x cubed equals a -8. Take the cube root, or to the 1/3 power, and we get x equals a -2. Same thing on the other side. We have x cubed equals 1, so then x equals 1. I hope that gives you a little head start on some of the lessons that you have for this week. If you have any questions, please make sure that you contact me. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great week.